Hi there. Well, congratulations on Would It Kill You to Laugh.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I did laugh, so
Thank
that
God.
Oh God.
You won't be killed.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Because it's the first time I've actually spoken to both of you. I wondered if you could give me a bit of an insight into when you first realized that you had the ability to make people laugh and how that kind of manifested itself, how sort of early on it might have been.
Dare I say for both of us, very
Very
early
young.
childhood, like
Yeah.
the baby years,
Yeah, the baby years.
I think I was prelingual and
Yeah,
yet
yeah.
able to go there. I think part of the reason John and I connected so instantly as friends when we met 10 years ago was that we both were hardened clowns.
Yeah, yeah, truly.
Like,
Like we always
yeah,
have kind of identified as like timeless vaudevillian performers.
court jesters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we developed that response to the world very early.
Yeah, I think we were just the resident clown in our families and our schools, and beyond.
Church, the synagogue.
And how did you come first to work together? And what did you kind of see in each other that you kind of thought, yeah, I kind of want some of that?
We met, I mean, technically we met,
On Facebook.
well, yeah, I guess on Facebook. But we did our friend Brooke, who's in the special, plays a waitress, at her show. And then we did her short film.
Yeah.
And it was like instant, it was like a day together, and we just, there was there was no kind of shyness around acknowledging like this is happening, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, like we're going home together basically.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was just like
we just were inseparable. We really couldn't stay away from each other.
yeah, and it was also very clear that we were going to work together. Like there was just a very kind of weird kind of twin feeling, an overlap in sensibilities and frame of reference and worldview, and it was very, very fast. And yeah.
Yeah.
And we just like kind of, the first thing we did together was we were like, let's just try it. So we drove down to North Carolina where her friend or your friends were, and they're directors, and they got like a bunch of local kids in a room with us, and we just improvised with kids. And it was like, we were like watching each other across the room. We were like,
yeah, that's a video called Family Dinner
Family
that
Dinner.
you can find on YouTube.
And then we went to bed that night, literally in the same bed, and we were like giggling. We were so excited. We like really felt like we had kind of found something.
I just like, also I'm sitting here, I'm like, we would get married. Like you're my like,
Yeah.
we have a marriage in this way. It's insane the state won't recognize it. I mean, think about it, honestly.
And we've tried.
And so what did you particularly enjoy about creating this kind of imagined kind of past and history for yourself? Or maybe not so much, what you might have brought something of real life to it.
It's always has its anchors in real life and real emotion for us, even
Yeah.
if we're playing Beavers or we're playing heightened versions of actors.
Yeah. I mean, I think we found the idea of like starting the special all over the world, and like these like different kind of cultural archetypes, like even people in like rural Argentina, like little boys in rural Argentina, like the idea that they would be tuning in to watch this interview and were fans of ours. We thought there was something so bold and like just audacious about being like, we're the most famous people
and like
in the world.
Universal, this idea of like,
everyone loves
undisputed,
us.
like loved by all,
even mass shooters.
Just like everyone loves us.
I think that really, really made us laugh.
And it makes you sort of settle down and pay attention too.
Yeah,
totally.
It's starting. Yeah.
It's a brilliant opening. Yeah. And why did you think the kind of this sort of retrospective talk show would be a good framework for the special?
Well, this is a good tip for the Queer Review, which is that we actually, early on in our friendship, were obsessed with this video of Suzanne Summers and Joyce DeWitt reuniting after like 30 years of having a public falling out from Three's Company. And it's such a like tense, layered dynamic that was exactly what we found funny, which is like on the surface there's lots of hand holding and crying,
I love you,
and I love you, and tenderness, and like kind of worldliness, and and guru-ness and
like trying to, who's the most evolved, who's the most healed, who's the most
exactly.
Yeah.
But then both of them are also just kind of raw nerves.
Yes.
And like there's this underlying kind of Freudian like thing happening too. And so that's really the inspiration for that dynamic and where that idea came from. And over the years we've just been like, what's the funniest version of that? And when we were like, let's pitch a sketch special, we were like, let's make the framework literally the most blown out, heightened version of that sketch.
Yes.
And it was like the big TV kind of Sunday night Meredith Vieira interview.
And how about Andrew DeYoung's involvement? Because obviously he's pretty experienced when it comes to comedy as a director. And did you wrote this with him as well as him directing it? Is that right?
Yeah, we've worked with Andy for years, and so we really have a shorthand with him, and he really loves us and understands us and really knows who we are as people, but how we work.
Yeah.
And he brings his, of course, like all his experience, but he, we're like so safe with him.
Yeah. And he brings a real kind of sensitivity, like to it. Like it's like the look of it, the way he shoots things is very kind of like calm and loving and like sincere. And so like we can be, for example, in Beaver prosthetics, but it will still feel like independent film when he's shooting it. So that's what really we've found really works for our trio, is like find a crazy joke, but like shoot it in a way that leaves room for all the tiny little kind of emotions and eye darting and, you know.
Yes.
I guess that's it. Maybe it's in the eyes, because I was going to say there's some brilliant mask work in those Beaver.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Because, and as I say, partly in the way it's shot too, that we get to read so much in your characters' faces, despite like the prosthetics and like. So yeah, what was that like to kind of act through?
Wild. It was scary.
It was scary. Because we really didn't have any time or like the budget to do a makeup test or anything. So
that was the first time we were putting it on.
So we showed up and just had to really hope for the best. And we had brilliant Ally McGillicuddy and Meg Wilbur who made all of that, did such a beautiful job. And as you said, luckily we were able to emote.
Yeah. And we're still allowed to be as like subtle as Kate can be. I'm screaming, of course, but there's something in the screams. But yeah, like it's still, I'm so pleased because it really hinged on that. Like if it had just been a full like impenetrable mask,
it wouldn't have worked.
It really wouldn't have worked.
And it's such a it's kind of a recognizable scenario, and it's very, very funny anyway, but then you add that layer. I mean, how'd you come up with something like that?
Well, honestly, Andy just was like, literally was like, you guys should play Beavers.
Totally.
Like a Beaver family.
Yeah.
And we were like, instantly we understood what that meant. Like all three of us, without talking about it, it meant mundane. Like if we're a Beaver family in the human world, it meant that the joke had to be that we're doing these incredibly kind of like mundane things like travel, you know. So the goal, the dream honestly is to do like 1 million Beaver sketches over the years where they're just doing these kind of like archetypal, like deeply depressing, mundane American kind of middle class kind of things.
Yes.
And you were both the stars, or your characters were, of He's Gay, She's Half Jewish. And you've got to recreate some of those scenes that get shown sort of throughout the special. What would they like to, including like some iconic moments like on the toilet?
Yes.
What would they like to kind of to create this whole like imagined world of this hit sitcom?
So fun.
Yeah. We shot those in like an hour and 15 minutes because it was the end of the day. We also, like, Kate and I were always kind of like, we don't need to see the flashbacks. We think there's something funny about it being all imagined, their careers. But Andy was really pushing for that, for like an extra layer, you know, visually, and like I'm so and a real feeling of actual history.
Yes.
And I'm so glad we did. But we wrote those in like 4 seconds, shot them in 4 seconds. We were like running between each.
Truly running. We had no time. Yeah.
And as you were each sort of like breaking into comedy, or maybe considering it as a career, who were the comedy kind of heroes or heroines that you kind of looked up to and thought, well, I really kind of admire what they're doing? maybe want to emulate it, or just, you know, just respected what they were doing?
Oh my God.
Well, as a kid, like the holy like trinity for me was like the women of SNL, like Molly Shannon, Cherry Terriana Gaster, that era, and then every previous generation of women and prior. But to me, like I always loved like Jennifer Saunders, I loved like women like that who were in the center of some sort of like with some kind of character, like Strange with Candy, The Comeback, like
yes,
like kind of like really like thorny kind of characters with a whole kind of world around them where they made it, they actually wrote it. And
yeah, and we also, I say because they have a new show that I haven't even seen yet, but Kids in the Hall, I love so much. And I remember seeing some of those sketches when I was maybe like 15 or something, and the absurdity and the commitment to the absurdity was something I just had never really seen before.
Yeah.
And that made a huge impression on me. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm not just catering to you, but French and Saunders was very yeah. important to me as a kid. And that's I think part of what Kate and I like, or what was very fulfilling about meeting Kate and starting to work with Kate was I was like, oh, this is to me very French and Saundersy. There's like there's like just a subtlety to it and like a sweetness and and something just funny about us. Just in any scenario, we don't have to really do much. We just show up as Beavers, or it's like we just change the wig or something, and there's something about our presence together where it's like inherently funny for some reason. Couldn't tell you why, but our fans seem to get that,
And when it comes to comedy, do you see there being any areas as kind of always off limits, or is it more a case of just how you approach a subject, rather than sort of something being completely written off and you're not going to touch it?
Yeah, I mean, we never struggle with that. I never struggle with like wanting to go there.
Yeah. I'm never like, God,
so I
can't.
I know.
Yeah.
So I really can't speak to it. Ostensibly, of course, nothing should be off limits, but I don't have any. Yeah, for my own work or the work that I gravitate toward, it's never about walking some line. Really.
Yeah, I think I agree, especially when we work together. I feel like we're just kind of trying to go for like timeless, like silly, behavioral. Like it's always, for us, the joke is always about like emotion and like outsized emotions and posturing and social performance. So it's less about the content itself and more about the act. Yeah.
And therefore at no one's expense either, which
but ourselves or each other.
I think we've always been like, we don't really like mean comedy, but
So one last question for each of you is for your favorite piece of LGBTQ plus culture. So it could be a movie, TV series, play, book, music, someone or something that's had an impact on you and resonated with you over the years, and why?
Like the thin red line. I think
you could. I'm sure you could find it in there, but
I know.
I mean, I kind of listed mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think particularly The Comeback is something that John really showed me, and I think there's a line of that's also in this special too, like that Lisa Kudrow playing that actress and the absurdity, but also the tenderness of her and
the humiliation, like how humiliating it is to be like that woman, in an environment that is very hostile to her.
Yeah.
And I think we like to play characters who similarly like are not welcome.
Between a straight woman and a gay man, and that kind of at the heart of the series, really, isn't there? That harshness around her, and so much love and admiration comes from him.
Yeah, I know, from Marky Mark. It's really true. That's very true. Yeah, we've always thought our kind of dynamic, there's something about the way people see our friendship, or not really people see it as loving, but you could, there are people who probably maybe think our kind of 10-year friendship is dysfunctional because it doesn't lead to like marriage, or kids or something. So but there's not yet. But it's always been a source of like extreme like tenderness and safety for us. So
John, Kate, thanks so much, and congratulations on Would It Kill You to Laugh?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you.
Oh, but it's copyright.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
I can't really do it in the Zoom square.
Yeah. Thank you, James.